The Ting Tinging Sword. I found 2 swords online I liked. We've got, I think that's Frodo's sword on the right, and then I liked the watercolor. So what I did is drew the line down the center. We want to try and make this as symmetrical and straight vertically as we can. The hilt of the sword has a bit of a curve, so you want to try and get that accurate. I'm sloping to the left a little bit, and I hope I adjust that. And then the handle of the sword, just try and get that height about right. And again, we're looking at it gets a little bit wider towards the hilt, and we want to make that symmetrical. Now this curve can be tricky, and so I just start drawing barely under the hilt, a little bit of the curve, draw the other side, make sure they're close to each other, and then I'll just look at it and make adjustments. Honestly, the best trick you can do is to draw it, step away, and then come back. I always notice if I'm not correct. That's one of the hardest things for me to do these sketches for you guys, is that I try and go quick, and then when I'm done drawing it, I will instantly notice something that I did misproportionately, but oh well. So now I'm just going through with my ink, and once I had the proportions down, when I was satisfied, and I like to use different tips of ink so that I have thicker edges like my outline of my blade, and then the thinner for the detail. I've got some highlights, reflected light down the left side. That's where I'm going to add some value, and then I use that thinner tip for that. And really that's the basis to this. Now, when you're done and satisfied, let it dry and then erase it. For the handle, I decided to paint it like it was wooden, and then just have the hilt be the metal and then the tip of the handle metal. So for the brown, I've mixed a warmer brown, and then I like to have the shadow. I cooled that off with a little bit of blue, and then I just painted along those ridges a darker. And I will go back through as that dries a little bit, and then add some more shadows on there. And then I'm mixing brown with my blue, and I'm creating like a cooler gray. And so this will be my dark side, and I'm going along that spine of the sword, and then where those little lines are to create the idea that there's shadow. And I have a really fine tipped brush, and then I'm just wetting down the tip and drawing that color out, not adding any more pigment necessarily to the left side. And then same thing on the right. I'm going to take that right edge of the sword, and then I just add water to the color and draw that water out. And if it seems too dark, I rinse my paintbrush and dab it on the paper towel and keep lifting the pigment off, and not quite enough, so then I can take my paper towel and just dab, never rubbing so it doesn't damage the paper. And then I'm taking the same colors and just going along that hilt. And then just the same concept, just where I want shadows, making it darker, where I want it to be lighter, just adding water to my brush. And I'm controlling how much water is on the tip of my brush by dabbing it on the paper towel. And this time lapse kind of skips that, but that's the idea. And then as I want more shadows and more contrast, I add a little bit of that navy blue to my gray, and I just keep building up those values. Now for the background in the navy blue that I mix, I have a ultramarine blue, and then I have a phthalo blue and some browns I've added to create the blue for the background. And because I have blue in the background, or I will have blue in the background, I'm putting just a titch of blue, you'll see in that top left of the handle, because you will have some reflected light on the object no matter what the background is, and that just is kind of a little trick to make it more unified. If I have separate colors and I don't mix any into it, then they stand out. I don't know, it's almost like they're on a green screen. So what I did before I started painting is I did a wet wash. So I just added a light, thin coat of just plain water so that I had more time to work with the colors, and I wanted darker areas of blue and faded out to the edge with white, the white of the paper, and that is rubbing alcohol. You see me dabbing. It kind of has a cool effect, and then I take my fine tip brush and just run it along the edges, and then give myself some more textures and outline some of the areas and let it bleed where the rubbing alcohol has worked. Then after it's dry, I ink it for extra details and sign it, and you're good to go.